All right. This is gonna be my thoughts and review on Fantastic Four First Steps. I watched it about 2 days ago and haven't had the time to make the review until now. But long story short, this this film was overhyped. Like I walked out of the theater not really having like any lasting impression of the film, and to be honest, I almost fell asleep in the middle of it. Um, So again, spoiler, I'm going to be going over the plot and like kind of like an overview of the plot and what I think about it and my kind of like as I recall my thought process about it since it is like a bit of a later review. But yeah, if spoiler, if you still intend to watch this, I don't know, click away or something. All right, so um first of all, of course, Marvel movies, they're trying to add all these characters that they've kind of bought back the rights to, like Spider-Man, Fantastic Four. It was, I believe, it was owned by Fox for a while. That's why they haven't really made one until now. Um, so their solution to this problem is alternate dimensions or different timelines. They just need to find a better way to write them into it. It's not an easy job by any means, but when you just get the same thing over and over and over again, it gets really repetitive. Like so basically Fantastic Four, as predicted, does not exist in like the main Avengers universe. So this story takes place in another universe, basically. Blah blah blah. This is not really an origin story, but basically, you know, they kind of go over a recap of their origin story. They go up into space like 4 years ago. They flew through a space cloud and now they have superpowers. And then, in the middle, while they're all like glazing these guys, oh my god, the world's greatest superhero. The Silver Surfer arrives. I'm like, okay, sure. Like that's basically how they want to introduce Galactus because they want to eat this world, the Earth, right? So they go up into space again. They go to like Galactus's evil lair, which is like a gigantic spaceship. And oh, by the way, in the middle of all this, Sue Storm, the Invisible Woman or whatever, is pregnant. So when they meet Galactus, they're like, "Yo, I'll spare your world if you give me your baby instead, because apparently it's like all powerful or something." And then obviously, they refuse, and then they escape using their FTL engine, faster than light. And then the Silver Surfer gives chase, blah blah blah. They lose the Silver Surfer in a black hole, and they get back to Earth. I'll say the visuals were very good. I'll give them that. I really like the visuals. They're like somehow created a universe where it's 1950s, 1960s like esque, but still kind of futuristic. I really like that. And obviously, it's Marvel. Their CGI is going to be good. It's like I don't know what the budget on this film is, but it was insane. So like, I expect the visuals to be good. Now, up until this point, I'm kind of like, all right, we're kind of breezing through the plot at this point, but unfortunately, this is as good as it's gonna get. Like, you actually kind of wonder, like, damn, the Silver Surfer's kind of OP. She's like kind of clapping everybody. How are they gonna get away? They use a black hole. I'm not even gonna talk about is it realistic or not because they're almost at event horizon. They would get crushed by gravity or something. Anyways, so they get back to Earth, and then the UN secretary or whatever, I don't know what her job is, but basically whoever Sue Storm works with at the UN prepares a press conference because they kind of like put the Fantastic Four team on a pedestal, um, where like they expect them to do the impossible. and in this case, they failed. They didn't save Earth from Galactus. Galactus is still coming, and they're about to all die. And obviously, the Earth is pretty mad. Everyone wants to sacrifice a baby. I'm not saying I would, but it makes sense. Yeah, and then they kind of like the pacing kind of tapers off at this point. They spent a good amount of time, like they did. I don't think they like kind of introduced like the different morals. They kind of just manufactured beef between Mr. Fantastic and his wife. They're like, "Oh my God, you're such a terrible person for even thinking about it. It's not because you're the smartest man in the world. It's just because you're an asshole." I'm like, what? They didn't build this up at all. They're like, my boy is just like trying to like solve an impossible problem. He's just, like offering all these solutions, and just because you think of a solution you don't like, you're an asshole. Like he's put in a pretty bad position, and if you have a better plan, why don't you speak up then? Like stop relying on him then. But yeah, they start arguing for some unknown manufactured, not built up reason. And they kind of meander on their own thing for a while. And then finally, they come up with a plan to teleport Earth to another galaxy, basically. Using some device that they kind of tease in the beginning, some teleporter. And then, they can somehow convince everyone in the world to buy in. And there's just one scene that like I feel like was pretty dumb. At this point, Earth is all against the Fantastic Four. They want to sacrifice the baby to save their own Earth. And during all that rage, they're rioting, blah blah blah, they're protesting at their tower. And then Sue Storm decides to come out to the crowd with their baby. And then like for some reason everyone stops talking. Like, oh my God, what a beautiful baby. Huh? What happened to all your anger? Like you're acting pretty rational. They're like, and then Sue Storm, gives a speech like, "This is my baby. I would never give him up. I want you to look at him like we're a family, but not just my family. The entire world's my family, and we're gonna protect you." And then somehow this like dispels any opposing argument to the Fantastic Four's decision to basically risk the entire Earth for their baby. And this is where they lost me, bro. Like, I said something about being realistic, but there's no goddamn way the entire Earth would be okay with that. So, they're talking about that, and then all of a sudden, it just all the opposition fades away. They buy into like the plan to teleport the entire Earth. Blah blah blah. Some time goes by. The Silver Surfer arrives first, and then she starts destroying all these teleporters. So now they can't teleport off Earth. And then the Human Torch, I think his name is, basically this entire time he's been translating her language based off of a few recordings and like one conversation with her. So he plays like a bunch of messages that they received of all the planets that Galactus has devoured, and the Silver Surfer gets cold feet and then runs away. Bro, what? How did Johnny Storm, the fucking idiot of the group, translate an entire foreign alien language by himself based on one translated phrase? Are you a fucking linguist? Because if so, that should have been like teased or explained beforehand. This guy's a fucking genius. No ordinary person can do that. And I know I can't. Like, and moreover, they explained the Silver Surfer basically sacrificed her own home planet to save them. No, sorry. She became the Silver Surfer, Galactus' servant, to save her own home planet. How the fuck are you getting cold feet now? Just because you heard a bunch of alien recordings of planets that you've already destroyed. How do you have zero conviction of who knows how long she's been doing this? That is like, that is just lazy writing, in my opinion. Anyways, so Silver Surfer, she kind of disappears for a bit, and then finally Galactus lands. Apparently, he's okay with Silver Surfer being MIA for a bit. And then they divide this plan. They have one teleporter remaining. They're going to bait Galactus in with the baby, which he still wants to eat, by the way, and then teleport him away to some unknown location. Blah, blah, blah. They get their plan goes okay at first. You know, he's about to step over the line. And then he realizes he's been duped. And then he starts, you know, just kicking everybody's ass, gets the baby and tries to leave. Now, all of a sudden, Sue Storm goes sicko mode or something, and then starts pushing him back into the teleporter. And then, yeah, that happens. They turn on the teleporter. They think he's gone, and then Silver Surfer, I mean, he comes back, and then Silver Surfer pushes him back into the portal, and they're gone for good. And then we think Sue Storm has died from overexertion or whatever. And then big spoiler, by the way, like, turns out their baby is a fucking space god. He just reses Sue Storm, his mother. And then that's pretty much the end of the story. You know, there's like kind of like a little epilogue where they're back to glazing him, back to glazing the team. They love them again. And then post credit scene, they're teasing Doctor Doom. That's really about it. Dude, as I said, the visuals are great and they finally got Galactus right. I watched the old ones, at least, like, and then I watched the first Fantastic Four, and then I watched some clips of the second old one. Basically, you know, Galactus is a big giant cloud in that one, and they finally got him right, comic accurate, which I loved. But the thing is, like, he's in the comics, I'm pretty sure Galactus is supposed to be like one of the strongest beings in the universe, and he gets his ass beat because he's off balance. Huh? That is just in terrible lazy writing. They just catch him off balance. Galactus, the entire fight, tries to like catch his balance, but Sue Storm is somehow like pushing him back, and then that's the end of that. So that is just terrible writing. So in the middle, you know, I kind of fell asleep. Like, it's just the only thing it has going for it is the visuals, the world creation. They did a pretty good job, like, bringing out this like retro vibe with it. But I'm really confused how this film even got like an 80% on Rotten Tomatoes. People are saying this is like one of the best movies Marvel has done. I have to disagree entirely. This might have been one of the worst Marvel films I've seen, and that's like saying something because they've released some bad ones. This was like just a bad film with good visuals. So as that's basically the conclusion. My review of it gonna have to be like a 6 out of 10, bro. Like, you know, you're kind of meandering through it and it keeps you engaged enough, but there's nothing good about the film or script. So, and you don't really feel attached to them. I feel like they should have done a better job of hammering home some of maybe their conflicts. Like, hey, the whole world has put this team on a pedestal of impossible expectations that to the point where like they break at some point. They didn't really like build up to that. They didn't show that properly, and then finally, they kind of manufacture the beef between Sue Storm and Mr. Fantastic. Let's be honest, bro. Like, they were fine up until some random moment that the baby starts crying and they're talking about something. I don't even know what they were arguing about. Plot holes. I don't know. Like, if Galactus could tractor beam the ship, why couldn't they tractor beam the baby? Like, why did he have to land on Earth? Um. Oh yeah, and then like there's like some terrible subplot where since they're fighting in New York, they need to evacuate the entire population. So they use some guy called Mole Man, who's like a subterranean king, to evacuate everyone. This guy has had 2 seconds of screen time up until this point. Why even include that? They could have just ignored all of that evacuation subplot and nothing would have changed. So that was just wasted screen time. Another one was when the Thing, he's like walking through Brooklyn or something, like, and he has a crush on a girl or a teacher, whatever. Dude, they have like 2 scenes together. Why are we even including this in the film? If you want to go with this idea, you should spend more time on it or just move it to the next film, another film. This is not relevant to the story at all. The whole point is probably just Mr. Fantastic, Sue Storm, and the baby in Galactus. That's it. So all these subplots are entirely irrelevant. Yeah, that's my review. They said this was one of the good movies of the summer. I have to disagree. I saw their second weekend dropped off like 80% in revenue or something. To me, that sounds about right. This shouldn't even have been hyped in the first place. 80% is insane. It's not a good film. 60 is more like it. Disney, they have some shit to figure out. I haven't even watched the Thunderbolts yet. I'll give my review on Captain America yet. It's a little bit late. I mean, hella late, but I'll give my review on that. But that's all I had on my thoughts and review on Fantastic Four: First Steps. If you're gonna watch a superhero movie this summer, just watch Superman, bro. That one actually has like even though I said the script wasn't as well written, this one makes it look like fucking Django Unchained or something. So yeah, that's all my thoughts. Thoughts on Pedro Pascal's performance? Dude, I don't even know. Like I thought it was just like it was just Pedro Pascal pretending to be smart. He They didn't really emphasize that this dude is supposed to be the smartest man in the universe, and he did as good of a job as I thought he would. He had like the whole '50s accent down and everything. But as my friend said, that guy has no aura as Mr. Fantastic. Now I think the rest of the Fantastic Four team was pretty well casted. I liked Johnny Storm. Kind of like a goofball. The comic relief. You got the Thing. They got the whole dynamic going down, and Sue Storm. Like that's also fine too. Um, Silver Surfer. I don't really have a problem with, but they need to find a way to write this shit better. Like I don't know what the appeal of this film was because it actually just wasn't that good in my opinion. This is just my opinion. If you want to judge for yourself, you should probably go watch it yourself. But that's basically it. No more questions. That's it for this review. I'll see you in a bit.